right. Um, all right, so obviously if you clicked on this video, you either are doing a dry January or have some interest in doing a dry January, or maybe you just like to watch people do dry Januaries. If that's you, that's hilarious. But yeah, this isn't my first time doing a dry January, that's for sure. I think I started a few years ago, and I mostly did it, or I mean, I've always done it because I have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol and now also weed. Yay. Love how addictions just become more addictions. But yeah, I started it a few years ago, and then I think my first, I don't know if it was my first, it might have been my second dry January. It became like the longest time of sobriety I've actually had, which was 2 years. And then the last time I got sober was 8 months. This time, I don't know, I'm definitely gonna have to take it day by day, as you should, as I've always known I should, and just, I'm not really, sometimes it's easier for me to be like, I'm doing a whole year than it is to do day by day. But I'm gonna try to do that this time. But anyways, I think it's just a good way to check in with your relationship with alcohol or any substance. So like I said, for me, this time it's going to be abstaining from alcohol and weed, but also trying to live a sober life, like not just physical abstinence, but there's so much more to a sober life than physical abstinence. And so for me, it's also going to be about trying to incorporate and change my approach to life, because obviously what I'm doing isn't working if my favorite coping mechanism is to numb out so hardcore for hours every night, that I'm like oblivious and like kind of a zombie to the people around me, and I'm a worse friend, I'm a worse partner, and just kind of all around a worse person when I'm not sober. I've just noticed as I've sort of played in sobriety over the years, like my life, it's just a better life when I can be sober. And it doesn't mean it's not a harder life, like it's fucking hard. And it's definitely not an easy thing, and there are times when it really sucks. Like, hence why I haven't, maintained 5 years or whatever since I first started. But I don't know, it just feels like a worthwhile fight, like it feels like the thing that I need to do right now, especially. Like, it's always been a thing for me. Sorry, my dog's having a little hairball or something. It's always been a thing for me. Like, I feel like ever since I was a kid, weirdly, I've known that like eventually I would be a sober person. I didn't really think about that until the first time I got sober, and then ever since I've had longer stints of sobriety, it's kind of been in the back of my mind like, oh, this isn't sustainable, like this definitely isn't going to last forever, like at some point I'm going to have to get sober again. And I'm lucky that I've never had any DUIs or any really horrible things happen because of the way that I use. But at the end of the day, what I'm learning from some awesome books I've been reading and just like other people who have way more sober cred than I do is that it's less about how much you use as it is like, how do I feel about how much I use? And that for me has always been something that kept me back from getting sober, was like, I don't even use that much, quote unquote. Like, I probably have, just to be completely transparent, because I think that's important, is like on a regular night, weekday night, I would be having probably 2 beers, and then I would smoke like a couple bowls, maybe as little as one, as many as four, probably bowls of weed, which is, now I'm saying it, kind of a lot. But or like if I have a vape pen, which I'm known to not be able to have because I'll just hit those all night. So like, and I never really creep beyond like that 5 p.m. mark. Like, I've always been good about like, waiting till it's an appropriate time or whatever. But I think that we all ask the wrong question, and Laura McCowan points this out in her books, but like, the question isn't how much do you use and am I an alcoholic? The question is, am I free? Am I being the person I want to be? Am I living the life that I want to live? Does my drinking bother me? Does my using bother me? How do I feel about what I'm doing. And so that's really kind of like at the heart of this for me. And so when I got the idea to do a dry January, it also kind of came to me that like this needed to be a very public thing. I started my YouTube a few months ago, and I love it. And I think I've always been the kind of person that likes to live their life out loud and like in front of other people. And sometimes like, and maybe it's the worst idea ever. Like maybe this will be terrible for my sobriety. I don't know, but maybe it won't be. And so I don't know. I've just always kind of felt like I'm the type of person that likes to live out loud and like, I don't know, like it removes shame from these things that like are supposed to be shameful. And like, I just feel like when we are actually honest about who we are and we put that in front of other people, it turns out everyone else is the fucking same. And like, you're not alone. And like, I think I'm just so addicted to that also that like, it felt like I got the idea. I was like, oh, I need to do a sober January or a dry January on YouTube. And so what I'm going to try to do is vlog every day at 5 o'clock, which is the time I would normally crack open a beer. And I want these vlogs to be really different from my other content. These are going to be super stripped down just like this. I'm going to try not to edit them at all if I can. And it's just going to be kind of real and raw and honest about my first 30-ish days of sobriety. So one thing that I did want to get out of the way with that is I actually started early, kind of by accident. I read both of Laura McCowan's books, which I highly recommend if you are on this journey. We Are the Luckiest and then Push Off From Here, both fantastic. I literally started reading them high and drunk, and by the end of the week, I had read both books, and I had my last drink. Again, I don't know how, like, I can't predict the future. I don't know if I'll stay sober, but it was an amazing, for me, shift of, like, I picked up the book thinking it would just inch me a little closer to the idea of sobriety because I knew that I wanted to get sober again. And it ended up, like, I mean, getting me here. And so that was 4 or 5 days ago. Yeah, I decided to push off from where I was at, which is one of the concepts from the books, and it's really just like the phrase is push off from here. And so I think that's what I want to share with you today is like you can push off from here in your life no matter what it is, if it's sobriety, if it's anything else. Where you're starting at is perfectly okay, and like this can be the bottom, this can be the end, this can be the new beginning. I don't know, it really resonated with me to use that phrase. And so I pushed off a few days ago, so I do have 5 days. Let me check my little counter here, the app. Clocks. Free from alcohol. 5 days. Okay, so this is my 5th day. So I'll be starting the first on my 6th day, but honestly, anywhere in the first 30 days could pretty much all be the same. So like, if you are starting at day 1, please don't feel discouraged by that. Like, please join me in this if that's something that you want to do. And yeah, we'll meet here every day on YouTube, and I'll share my experience with you, and I hope that you'll share yours in the comments as well. And yeah, to talk a little bit about my first 5 days, they've been challenging, but also like positive. Like, I've been really freaking tired. I did go to Alaska for Christmas, and I can't figure out what is jet lag and what is like detoxing. And I know I'm not detoxing in a big way, but I'm for sure detoxing in a small way because like my sleep is so messed up. That's one of the big things about weed that has ruined me, and I want to talk about weed a lot probably on this journey because there's a lot of rhetoric that weed is not a harmful drug, and I personally have not had that experience. That could be for any number of reasons. Maybe it's because I use too much. I don't know. But anyways, it has really messed up my sleep over the years. Like, if I'm actively using, I will be up half the night, like total insomnia, and just have the worst sleep. Like, and so, anyways, my sleep's all off. I was up from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. the other night, and I've been tired, like really, really tired, and just like low energy. Like I feel like I'm at a 2 of my normal 10. I mean, on day like 2 or 3, I was at like a 10 out of 10. I was on top of the world. So like the highs are really high and the lows are low, and that's something that I do remember from like the early days of getting sober before. Um, so yeah, I've been like tired, but like hopeful for this process, hopeful for this new beginning. I'm excited to do this vlog with you, and um, yeah, I know that my potential for this life is so much more accessible to me when I'm sober, and already I like see these little ways that I'm just showing up as a better human in the past few days, messaging friends, like you can be there for people in a way you just can't when you're using. And so I'm looking forward to like leaning into that, and um trying to think if there's anything else I want to leave you with other than like push off from here, you know. You be the one. There's this awesome poem thing. I think it's the conclusion of one of Laura's books that talks about you be the one. Like, you be the one to go and do it different and do it like how you need to do it and in your own way. And like, you be the one to reap the rewards of that too. So if you're joining, if it's your first dry January or your millionth, or maybe you have like 5 years of sobriety, welcome. um, and yeah, I'm kind of excited for you if this is your first time to see what's on the other side, because if you can get through like 60 to 90 days, and I know that might sound really long, but like it really does get so much better. And once you've made it through your first year, you're like, I've got this. And like there are going to be things in life that are going to set us back, and I'm not putting any pressure on anyone to go past 30 days. You don't even have to do 30 days perfect, you know? More unsober more sober days are better than more unsober days. So it's like working out, you know, you just have to keep coming back to the gym. So let's keep coming back to this gym, our spiritual gym. And yeah, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for day 1. And I think that's it. So have a wonderful New Year's Eve. I will see you in 2024. I'll see you next year. And yeah, I think that's it.